Alright, so welcome back with another Living with a Toy Collector, and today I'm going to share another special series to me. So back in 2001, Toonami was on fire. Like you're starting to get stuff like Cowboy Bebop and the Big O and Outlaw Star, which I actually have most of them on DVD. And they also did a short anime collector series. It's technically a series of 5. I technically have 4 out of the 5 because the 5th one I didn't know who it was. But I went ahead and I collected the mass majority of these figures. And they're actually really neat. It was kind of like a really low level or affordable anime figure that didn't cost you an arm, a leg, and a foot. And if you remember anything about the 90s, predating like DVDs or any type of streaming, in high school you will pay like $40, $50 for a VHS. So it was translated, had to wait months and months and months and months and months and months to get another 3 or 4 episodes. It was the same thing around the early 2000s, but you were paying $40 per DVD for them to come out. I remember because I still have one of the sets downstairs called Tango Tange. So yeah, so I'm one of those old anime kids, so that tells you anything. But yeah, so let's go ahead and take a closer look at the anime series from 2001 from the Toonami era. Okay, so I would do my best to try to film and hold the camera at the same time. Right out of the bat, this is just for scale. I know it's girly hand, but you know, I mean that is a very big boy. Obviously, it's not the full size. They made a die-cast version of the Big O, which I wanted, but it was always financially out of my range, and now more so. It's like $500 to $600 now. I can't justify spending that much money in a figure anymore. But this, like I said, this was a low-cost anime figure that you could have bought at the time. I think I bought this for like $40 back in the day. And there are 2 different color cards. You have the white one and then you have the black one. So this is from the first series, and it featured three major series at the time that were airing on Adult Swim, which is the Big O, the version of Escaflowne, which I do have the more deluxe figure of this. It was just a pain to deal with that it transforms to the dragon. And Outlaw Star is the other one. As you can see, collect all your favorite animes. All properties are being released on DVD, VHS by Bandai Entertainment. Each set comes with a 4.5-inch and 1/7-inch highly detailed articulated figure character based on the show. So this is what they're talking about here. You have Roger and Dorothy from the Big O, and even the Big O right here, he comes with several hands. It's kind of hard to see because unfortunately he has gotten kind of dingy. The plastic has, which does happen with time. And I kept these sunlight free, and it's still oxidized. So there's not much I can do about that. But it's an absolutely gorgeous figure. At the time, it was what I could afford. It was like $40 for the figure, so I cannot complain. And the figures do have limited articulation, mostly on the shoulders. I don't think there's any on the legs. So this looks like there's a little bit on the knee. And for Dorothy, if you never watched the show, you should watch it. There's actually 2 seasons, and it does end. We're all tomatoes. If you get the reference, we could be friends. All right, so this is the first figure out of the white set. So let's move on to the next figure. Ah, yes. Outlaw Star, one of my favorite series where Jean Starwin and Athena, I believe was her name. And then you had the ship that had these grappling hooks. And I liked it because it kind of brought in some realism. It was the first time I ever had to see pirates deal with bills. So I thought it was a pretty amusing, and it had the very 2000s anime style where everybody had like cockroach hair and like bug eyes. And as you can see, the figure is more like a static figure, not a lot of articulation on these. Same thing goes with Athena. But the ship is actually super cool. I never saw the ship anywhere else other than this figure. I'm pretty sure there's more, but at the time, again, I was a poor college student, and this is what I could afford. So I totally love this figure. And again, I can't remember if this was a gift from my husband at the time. I'm pretty sure it might have been it, but whatever. It's been a long time. So sorry. I've acquired so many figures throughout the decades that I can't remember where I got all of them. But all in all, this was really cool. I loved it. And they even put the little star tattoo on there. And again, just like the other one, the card in the back is pretty much similar. But all in all, the fact that they have the ship with the little grapplers on it, you can see all the details. So if you've ever seen the show, you know what I mean. And it comes with a stand, so you can like stand the actual figure on there. So that is pretty dope in my book. Next in the white card series, we got the Vision of Escaflowne. Escaflowne. Da, 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 da. You ever seen the show? You know what I mean. Technically, think of night fighting Gundam robots. Literally, like here's the robot, and here's his sword, as big as the darn robot. And then the kid will get. I can't remember. I think his name was Vaughn. Vaughn. And then I remember her name. Her name was so generic. I cannot remember her name for the life of me. It's terrible. Okay, Vaughn and Hitomi. It's right there. I can't remember. Yeah, so, but this show was kind of really cool because it was kind of like it was a action girly anime where you had, this girl, it was the whole, what's that called, where you get taken to another universe. I can't remember. There's an actual name for that type of anime, but I can't think of it right now. Anyway, so she gets sucked up into another universe because she's the goddess, blah, blah, blah. And then he finds her in the machine, and then the whole story takes off from there. And then they later on made up the whole series, and they redid in this really high definition movie, which was, I have it too. I have it on DVD. And what's really cool about it, again, giant robot with swords. What else can I say? And then the darn thing will transform to a dragon. So this one is just a basic figure of what it looks like, but again, I have another version of it that it does transform into a dragon, and I gotta tell you, I transformed it to a dragon and I never been able to transform it back, so I left it alone because I didn't want to break the figure. So just like the other ones, the card is pretty much the same, but all in all, here is the figure. All right, so let's go ahead and start looking at the second edition of this series. So again, this is kind of like round 2, and there's a couple of these that are similar, but they're not. So there is a big O that has him and Dorothy, but there's also one that has him and Angel, which has I can't remember what's the name of the red one. But either way, it's pretty dope that they made it, and I never found it. This was the only one I was able to find of the black card. They had another one called Pilot Candidate. I've never seen this series. I don't know what it's about, so meh. And then there's another version of the Outlaw Star, which looks like they might have just reprinted the same one and just put it in a black card. And then there's the Vision Escaflowne, and then there's the Cowboy Bebop. So it took me a little while to figure out that these were like slight variants, but to be honest, they're not variant enough for me to go ahead and buy a double one just because it's in a black card. The only one I would have cared for would have been this one because it actually has Angel, but and the big I believe this was the big fowl. The big fowl is the big O, the big duo, and the big fowl. I think was the name of the ships. All right, and the one that I got is the Cowboy Bebop one. It's the one that I got. And it's actually pretty dope. So you see there is Spike. And then there's name of the chick, which I cannot remember right now. Valentine. That is her name. And it's pretty true to the style of the era. Then you see the little dog. And then you see the cruiser that they fly in, which is pretty neat. What is it? Spike, Faye, Valentine, and the Swordfish is the name of the ship. And so all in all, again, this was like $40 back in the day because it was an import. I'm pretty sure this was like $10 in Japan. But it's still pretty neat that I managed to get one of these in the States. And this one I didn't get to much later on. I found this randomly at like some flea market or a store. And they had it moderately priced, and a lot of the new kids don't know Cowboy Bebop. So, you could probably find these pretty moderately if the person doesn't know what they have, and whoever I bought it from, they had no idea what they had. So, and this is at the height of eBay, where people were posting everything on eBay. This before we started checking everything. But yeah, no, this was a pretty cool find, and I still love it after all this time. So as usual, guys, thank you for joining me for another With a Living Toy Collector. As usual, please like and subscribe. And again, if you do happen to find these figures, the only way to keep them safe is to use the 2-gallon Ziploc bags. It just barely fits, but is the best way to keep them pretty much safe, like, you know, like weather safe and all kinds of stuff. So that will be my one suggestion if you do find this set. But anyway, guys, I'll talk to you later. Y'all take care and have a good one. Peace.